Hi everyone, what's up? Quaker here. I'm going to be taking you through our next life words passage. Today we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 8 verses 11 to 21. As always, I'm going to share some thoughts with you, so let's dive right into this passage together. Now, in the first part of this passage, Jesus is approached by the Pharisees and they demand a miraculous sign from him. And Jesus gets really frustrated and he refuses them. And when he gets into the boat with his disciples after that, he tells them to beware the yeast of Herod and the Pharisees. Now, that's a weird thing, I know. But the main thing we need to grasp is that Jesus is against the Pharisees because they're always preaching a message of legalism. They've used God's law and his word to keep people in bondage, to keep them far from God, and to distort how God sees his people and how he wants to be close to them. And as we know from our Gospels and we know from the Bible, that Jesus comes to show that God wants to be close to his people. Through Jesus, we see God as loving, we see him as kind, which is what he's always been. And that's who Jesus is, and that's who he's showing he is to the Pharisees. But they continue to demand signs from him because they just don't want to accept that. Now, as we continue on in the passage, we see Jesus in the boat with his disciples, and the disciples are all grumbling and arguing because they didn't bring enough food for the journey. And Jesus gets really frustrated with the disciples again, and he rattles off a list of all the miracles he's done right up until this point. And he basically says to them, how can you still worry and complain about these little things, knowing what I've done for you? And I guess this is the most relatable part of this passage. How many times do we as believers, as people who believe in Jesus, who believe in God, who believe that he's there for us, how many times in situations in crisis can we forget the things that he's done for us? How can we forget to be grateful for the things that he's done for us so we can have faith to know that he will still continue to do all the things we need him to do? So that we can have faith to believe that he'll be a provider in the midst of times when we need provision. So that we can have faith to believe that he'll be peace in the times when we're surrounded by anxiety and we're facing worry. Maybe that's something you need to take away from today. To remember to always be grateful. Gratefulness is a great tool that we can use to build our faith. Because as we remember all the things that God has done for us, we can have faith for the things that he's going to do in situations when we need him the most. As always, go off and read this passage for yourself. See what you can find out about it. See what it says to you. As always, if you have any questions, please do share them with us. Drop us a DM or drop us a comment. But stay tuned for the next Life Word videos that's going to come tomorrow. We hope you are blessed, and we'll see you soon.